Hi everybody, this is Ismail. It's been a while since I've done a video, and it's been a long year for me, and school year obviously, and just so much going on, and it's been so hard to kind of keep the videos going, but I'm really going to make a better effort hopefully this summer to continue, for the next school year, of course, to continue making videos. The reason I wanted to do this video specifically was to, as the school year ended, usually this is really a good time to assess what your year was like. And I actually wrote a list of a couple of things that you should consider when you finish a year. This may be your first year as a visual arts teacher. This may be your 10th or 20th year as a visual arts teacher. It doesn't really matter how long you've been teaching, but these are some basic ideas or questions you should ask yourself. And questions are really important, for your own growth, for your own development as a visual arts teacher. Okay, so the first question I would ask myself is what worked and what didn't work as far as a lesson this year. Now, if you're like me, I tend to document just about everything I do. If I make a form, let's say for a written assignment for the students, or even a drawing worksheet or anything like that, or the actual, let's say, practice. Let's say if we're drawing, a good example, birds, right? I like to do a pre-assessment where I have them draw, the whole class draws the same bird with me to see where their levels are. So I would take pictures of a couple of the drawings and just basically see where I was going with it, and then continue that type of process. So for that lesson, I probably take a number of photographs, but I'd also be documenting basically what type of things in the lesson or in the lesson unit worked or didn't work. Sometimes it may not work for a particular class, and that's something to also consider. What works for one class may not always work with another class. So that's something to consider as well. So, excuse me. So think about what worked, what didn't work, and really make a list for yourself and keep a little journal. I tend to keep a little, unfortunately it's not in front of me right now, but I keep a little spiral notebook, very small, kind of small, about so big, and I just jot down some things, besides the fact that I take a ton of photographs of everything I'm doing, so that helps, okay? Another thing you should consider is what were your best projects in terms of what was the most successful? Because if you have a project that was really successful, you want to do it over. And you want to see what you can change about it if you want to. Or, if it was so successful, why was it so successful? What did you do in that lesson, let's say, about geometric shapes? Let's say, I'm just throwing up the subject, compared to your color theory lesson, right? So what worked so well, and what can you kind of adopt from that lesson, right, and maybe bring it to another lesson, right? It could be the way you did the assessment, right, regardless of how many assessments you do in a lesson. It could be the way you presented it, what was successful about that lesson, and what really engaged the students. And that's key. What engaged the students? What caught their imagination? And in art, you want to capture their imagination, you really do. You want to allow them also a sense of freedom within that lesson, right? So did that work? Or maybe it didn't work. Some kids, or some students, maybe need more structure. Other kids, you could leave a little bit more room for them to explore more, and because those kids will do okay with that. And of course, If you're thinking about what was successful, think about also, ask yourself the question, what failed, right? Because, excuse me, I have a bit of a cold, but what failed in the lesson? Why did it fail? You can come gung-ho with a lesson and you're thinking, oh my God, this is going to be great. And then you kind of realize, that was a failed lesson for me. That didn't work. I'll give you a good example. I tried to do a comic strip lesson a couple of years ago. And even though, it was really kind of hard. I saw let's say the result as compared to seeing how to get there with my own work, and I realized I had to adapt it more to student, the way the students were processing stuff. Even though comics are fun and kids do enjoy it generally, it's not so simple to teach. So even though I did a lot of study, I bought books, I had resources, things like that, the way I put it together, it wasn't effective in terms of really engaging the students in the manner that I was hoping to. So I had to really change that lesson. So even though the lesson failed, and I want you to keep this in mind, I didn't throw away the lesson. I'm still developing that lesson, because you will always find that later on, what didn't work today will work beautifully tomorrow. So always keep an open mind about that, and that's the beauty, I think, as far as I'm concerned, about the arts, is that what we sometimes see as a failure can become something extremely successful or beautiful, right? Some other time. So that's a question to consider. I'm going to go through these a little bit quickly, so I don't, because there's a couple of questions that you should be asking, and then the other one, it would be, what were lessons that were, okay, we already talked about successful lessons. I'm sorry, I'm repeating myself there. What management issues did you have this year? Were there classes that you had difficulty managing? Why was that? What do you need to work on as far as your rapport with the students? That's really important. What do you need to address as far as that? You're not only in the way you behave, but how the students behave in your classroom, in terms of what rules you set up for them. What do you want to change for the coming new school year? Think about that. That's really important. Think about what you want to change. There are some things you may not be able to change, and that's the reality in every school for every visual arts teacher. I'll give you a good example. Some visual arts teachers have classrooms, right? But others, unfortunately, are working through a cart. And please don't get me started talking about the differences between a teacher who has a classroom and a teacher that has a cart. The teacher that has the classroom, has their own art classroom, always has the advantage, and technically speaking can really do a lot more than a teacher that just has a cart, in terms of that they don't have a room, they have to move things around from classroom to classroom. It's a challenge that is not easy. I'm on a cart myself right now, but I've been in a classroom many years, so there are some advantages and disadvantages in both. So try to evaluate what is working, in terms of what you want to do next year, the following year, and how you want to kind of construct that. Okay. Consider also changes that could happen. For instance, there could be changes in your school's class schedule will definitely change. I mean, at least for me, my classroom schedules always change every year. And you have to work with your principal and your assistant principal in terms of your scheduler, obviously, and see what's realistic in terms of what you can do, and how you can organize your classes in such a way, and always work with the staff of your school. Obviously, have a good rapport, a good relationship with your principal and your AP. That's crucial. I cannot even stress that enough. You know, try to really work well with people that basically control what classes you're going to be in. So try to see what's functional, because really the functional part has to be there, and then see what doesn't work, and try to have discussions in areas that you can maybe change certain things. Okay. Consider some of the more basic, broad things that happen in the school. For instance, next year there may be several people who might have retired. Of course, we talked about a little bit about room changes, right? Schedule changes. Consider the amount of art supplies. Did you have enough this past year? What do you need for the next year to really be successful? Maybe you want to try something different. Maybe you didn't do any painting last year, but you want to do it this year. What are you going to need? And when I say painting, I say it in terms of, it could be watercolor, acrylic. Of course, we don't use oil, but any other medium other than oil paint, as far as that's concerned. Consider the school budget, you know, and if you're fortunate to have a good school budget and your principal is very generous, take advantage of that. You know, you're going to need supplies that are going to last not only for the school year, because remember, in some schools you may have summer school, so you need supplies for summer school. So all those little variables and all those questions that I just asked, and what I'm going to try to do in this video is I'll have them listed on the bottom. My video editing skills are not that great, but I'm going to try my best for you. So try to really have a great summer, but think about these things. The video, of course, is going to be here so you can review it again and again. And of course, if you like videos like this one, please put a like on the bottom. If there's a way that I can make my videos better, more presentable, please, I would love your suggestions. And of course, I would ask you to please subscribe. The more numbers, the better. We're all in it together. And remember, the arts can truly change the world. And if we allow that beauty of creativity and just being able to not only share that love of the visual arts for ourselves, but of course share it with our students. And if you're someone who feels the arts are vital, then of course please support them. So thank you for watching this video. Sorry for my coughing. I'm a little under the weather, but I just wanted you to know that I'm still here. I'm still going to be making videos, and have a wonderful, wonderful summer. Take care.